Marcia Penrose is suing Paul Meyer, the owner of a limousine company, for $225 for ruining her son's prom. Ms. Penrose claims that the limo ride Mr. Meyer provided was so terrible that her 16-year-old son Adam Penrose was humiliated in front of his date and his friends. Mr. Meyer says the limo ride he provided was perfectly fine, and the only problem that night was Adam's underage drinking.
All right, let's back up to the beginning of this. You contacted, how did
you puking up on the side of my car from the alcohol substance.
That has nothing to do with this case.
Oh, but it does.
Wait, Mr. Myers, what is this you're saying about
this
some alcohol
consumption? This young man here was drunk.
No, sir, that was wrong. You're wrong.
Your Honor, I had to clean the puke out of the back of my car, all right, after the limousine got back to my office. The kid puked up all over in the car, all right? I followed both vehicles that I had out that night for that prom. I followed this gentleman here to right after the prom.
Now, who is the gentleman you're referring to in
this
court?
This is Keith
And your last name, Mr. Chamberlain?
Correct.
Were you the scheduled driver for Adam and his party that night?
Yes, I was. And I happened to be at the place to pick him up, but at the time when it was over, that they were leave from the school to go down there, they never showed up to the car.
Ms. Penrose, your agreement with Mr. Myers concerning this limo is that you were to have them picked up at what time? What time was the limo driver to be there?
9 o'clock in front
and
of the
Mr. Meyer,
field
what time was your driver there to pick these?
Both vehicles were there at the same time.
And what time was that?
At 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yes,
It is your sworn testimony that the driver and the limo were both there on time at 9 o'clock.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then why was it necessary for them to get into another vehicle? I'm trying to understand this.
According to, after I got down to the other motel with the company that I had in my car, they all turned around and they had explained to me down there that this young man had gotten another vehicle. I called up my driver and told him the kid already had left there, and he said, I already know, I have to go down to the prom. I said, well, come on down here and wait for him to come out. And at this point, this kid comes out and he was staggering, all right?
Is that true, Adam? Were you coming out of the prom drunk?
No, ma'am.
Chamberlain, you say you're there. You said you were there at 9 o'clock. Did you see other limos come up and pick other students up?
Yes, I have.
And so where were you when all of this was happening?
I was sitting right at the end of the driveway, and then I came around and there was no one else around.
You're saying that there was nobody left.
No,
there weren't
wasn't.
any other students, no other parents.
No.
You agreed to have this limo service for that night. Did you enter into an agreement?
$300. And interestingly enough, he was supposed to come to the house to show us the limo on April 26th.
What happened?
He never showed up.
I didn't show
Called
up.
me
I went
a
to your
couple of
house there to
days.
collect the check with a limousine.
He did show up on May 1st, 10 o'clock at night, not 8 o'clock as he had promised. All of these things were signs that I should have taken into account. But
You
at that
should have.
point, the dance was May 6th. We were stuck.
Okay, what about all right, since you're condemning me for this, but what about when you promised me that your son would not be drinking, getting in the back of my car?
Wait a minute.
Mr. Meyer, I don't
We'll
want to
get
hear
to
about
that.
that right now. I'm trying to understand. You've said that 4 times. That's been your only defense about drinking. He says he didn't do it. I want to understand what the contractual relationship was between the two of you, excuse me, for a limo service that night. So you signed an agreement?
We
What
signed
did
an
the agreement
agreement.
say?
He was to be there at 9 o'clock, and we had the limo from 9 to 3.
And how much were you to pay?
$300.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
$300. And did you pay the $300
I paid
on
him
May 1st?
in advance
In
on
advance.
May 1st.
So there is no contention here today, Mr. Meyer, that you did in fact receive a check for $300.
Yes, I did.
All right, Adam, let me hear from you.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened? You're waiting along with other couples, is that my
ma'am.
understanding? How many of you were planning to ride in this limo?
8.
8 of you.
8 people.
Anything else you want to tell me, Mr.
Your Honor,
Penrose?
I told my friends that I would take care of the limousine, and when I was searching the campus and I couldn't find it, I felt mortified and embarrassed that my friends put their trust in me and I didn't come through.
My position here, Your Honor, is my vehicle was there on time. The kid broke the contract and broke everything else that I asked of him and did as he well pleased.
All right, I've heard enough. I find it not believable, frankly, that Mr. Chamberlain was there on time at 9 o'clock. Because if he had been there on time, it does not stand to reason that if he drove up into the driveway, that there would be nobody else there left when there were so many students leaving the field house to go to the prom. That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't square in the face of the testimony here today. The fact that nobody was there at the curb really supports their testimony that the car got there way after the time it was scheduled to. And so first of all, I don't believe that that's credible. I don't have any conclusive evidence. You, of course, have admitted that you were drinking, and you shouldn't have been drinking,
You're right.
and that was irresponsible behavior.
Yes, ma'am.
But I don't think it absolves you of your responsibility of providing timely service to Adam and to the group that were going to the prom, and therefore, I am going to allow Mr. Myers to keep the $75, but I am going to award you the balance of the $225.
Thank you.
Nothing further, we will stand adjourned.